All right, I'm back in the gym. I've got my little silly hat on, which can only mean one thing. We're doing some heavy cleans today. Got a few other exercises planned for this workout, but today I just wanted to talk about what the hell is GPP? Like, what does it mean traditionally? GPP is also the name of my business, so sort of talking about the ethos and the values that we're trying to embody. And maybe not trying to redefine GPP, because I think the traditional understanding of general physical preparation or a GPP phase is fair enough. But yeah, I think I would definitely like people to consider what a GPP phase really means, or if it should really just be a phase, and talk about maybe some of the strawmans around the whole GPP thing. It's more related to my business, like when people see it, what they say about it. This idea of you can't just do GPP forever. You have to specialize at some point. Sort of call that into question. Talking about how we categorize truly SPP or specific training, and then how we categorize what we think encompasses GPP. And then I want to cap it off at the end with a bit of a discussion about what are the general physical qualities. That's it. Timing's not feeling amazing, but that's the whole point of these sessions. Just come in and put in some good practice. Hey! I'll jump up to 80. Hat's staying off. It's just messing me up. So if I had to summarize it, because again, a lot of people have slightly different takes on what a GPP phase is, but the way it's traditionally thought of is it's typically a bit of an off-season program, and it's just a period where you're working on bringing up general qualities. So you're just thinking about all the things that make a healthy, fit human, more so than thinking about things that will have a more direct transfer to their specific goals or their specific sport. And honestly, probably the value that a lot of people find in a traditional GPP off-season phase is it's not even the general qualities that you're working on, because I think most GPP phases are probably too short to build any genuine physical qualities, in my opinion. And the real value probably comes from just taking a break from that more specific work. So less actual specific sports practice, but then also not trying to replicate your sport or chase its demands too hard in your strength and conditioning for a period as well. And this combination of just focusing on the qualities that translate to a healthy, fit human being and taking a break from all that specific practice, there's a lot of health benefits that can come with that. Not just physical, but also psychological as well. So many athletes get burnt out by the end of the season. I mean, I saw a coach that I really respect talking about a 4-week GPP phase, and I'm like, fuck me, what the hell kind of physical qualities are you building in 4 weeks? And that's why I started to think about, you're not making any serious gains in a 4-week program, especially with the intermediate to advanced athletes. So what the hell could the value be from there? And I'm like, yeah, it's just basically a bit of a deload physically, psychologically, from that amount of specificity that you're building up throughout the season. My main issue with the GPP phase, it's really what comes after it. I don't even have an issue with the actual programs that people write and toss the SPP label on. Again, I just sort of dispute whether it's really SPP in the grand scheme of things. If truly general's here and truly specific's here, people go from here to here and they're like, oh man, look how specific my S&C program is. And it's just what? So you went from doing full range back squats to partial squats. You're like, yeah, sports specificity. Or maybe you made your conditioning more specific to the intervals in your sport, which if you did enough sports practice, you get enough exposure to that. It's yeah, sports specific training. Sorry, I'll stop using the silly voice every time I talk about SPP. It's not fair. Now that I sit here, what do I like about the way GPP is traditionally done? Nothing. But then again, people go to criticize me because they'll just be like, well, Angus, you're just stretching out the definition of GPP to cover basically all good S&C. And honestly, I think that's how we should be looking at it. Again, I think it's a really good lens to look at things through. Okay, we are chasing very specific adaptations here, but they're still just leagues away from replicating the actual sport. So how I would look at bringing in an element of specificity, I mean, to my year-round GPP structure, I would, it's athlete specific. It's this athlete has piss weak quads, all right? So it's we're not trying to recreate the sport, but there's a specificity in adaptations we're looking to make. We want to see the quads get bigger. You see how it's still a general thing? We're targeting something specific in amongst all these general qualities. Because yeah, I feel like people will isolate one aspect of dynamic correspondence and they'll be like, see, sports specific. I'm doing the voice again, I can't help it. Yeah, they'll replicate the joint angles in their sport and they're like, see, sports specificity. Or they'll replicate, a popular one now is like the time frames that you have to produce force. They're like, see, sports specific. Like sports specificity is so much more than just the joint angles, the time to produce force. You also mean psychological, environmental, tactical aspects of specificity that when you really sum it all up, like all the things that make your sport, you just can't recreate them off the field or out of that sporting domain. And I don't think you should really be trying to. Any argument you can make for getting more specific with your training in the gym, why wouldn't you just play more of your sport? And I think there are good reasons for this. There are certain sports where it's just really hard to practice it, or there's like a lot of logistics around it. Like how do you organize a full football match, to get more SPP in, right? Maybe you got to play like 3-a-side soccer with your mates instead of like a proper, how many people are on the field in a full soccer game? So like if you're a shit athlete or even a good athlete looking to get better, I just don't see how you can get around this idea of playing more of your sport or as much of your sport as possible, recreating the sport like that, chasing specific adaptations with your GPP, strength and conditioning. I've just never been tempted to adopt that SPP lens with my strength and conditioning. And again, it doesn't come from a place of not respecting specificity. It comes from a place of respecting all the things that make something truly specific to a sport. I'm going to cap myself at 120. There's no need to be going higher than that today because there's no way in hell I'm getting close to a PB. PB clean off the ground is 140. If I can hit a nice 120, I'll be absolutely stoked. Time for pulls, then bench press. So it's day one of my current training week, and this is a day where typically I'd come in and get in one of my heavy squat sessions, but I'm actually pushing that to my Tuesday session, the classic Tuesday. So hit the track or the park in the morning, acquire some sprinting volume, and then that's usually when I come in and I have my pipes and hammy thrashing session. I'm putting my heavy squats in that session as well, because I knew I didn't want to be running on tired hammies and tired glutes so much, and I thought that I could get away with banking one heavy squat session before my track session. But then, and again, this is how I'm thinking of, it's not specificity, it's just load management. Again, just shifting around your weekly structure so I can put more emphasis on my sprinting sessions. That's my idea of more specific. It's not SPP, but more specific training. Is it more specific or is it just better? I don't know. Anyway, so like I come in, I like prime myself almost. I get a ballistic lift in, so like it's a moderate pull and a moderate squat, I guess, when I recover the clean, but saving the real intense squatting and the real intense hammy work for after my sprinting work. And then trying to run through that cycle twice in a week. All right, now my favorite topic, what does GPP mean to me? With all that being said about SPP probably not being as specific as what people make it out to be, I just view anything that's not your sport as GPP. So the weight room, or your conditioning, or the plyos, or the high-speed running that you do, it's just GPP, general physical preparation, trying to improve your general physical qualities, which we'll get into like what they really are, but basically bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah, pretty much any methodology that you're using to raise your physical qualities that's not just playing your sport, because playing your sport, like SPP definitely does bring up some physical qualities, but GPP is where we can set specific goals with our physical quality acquisition, and that can really empower our sports performance. Because I think a lot of people, when we say that we just do GPP year round at general physical preparation, they think that there's no specificity to it. And I guess they might be right. And like to an extent, from a sports specificity point of view, they're kind of right. But from an athlete-specific perspective, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like every athlete is going to have individual needs when it comes to being bigger, stronger, faster, more mobile, or being able to do something for longer. And we're just focusing on building those up. And if my athlete's getting bigger, stronger, faster, building up these general qualities, and I notice that they're not getting any transfer to their sport, guess what I do? I get them to play more of their sport. It's crazy. Sounds crazy, I know, but it actually works pretty good. Run this thought experiment in your head, all right? You got someone, they're a PhD in their fucking sport, or at least they practice it with the goal of becoming a PhD in their sport, and they're bringing up their qualities, they're getting bigger, stronger, faster, do it for longer in the gym. You're not missing anything. I think another one of the reasons why people question the transfer of GPP to the sport, especially once you've developed these qualities past a certain point, is I don't actually think they get developed that far. Like I think a lot of coaches genuinely suck at getting people bigger, stronger, faster in the long term. I think the average S&C coach really shits the bed trying to get someone who isn't a freak athlete above a double bodyweight squat, or to develop their physique in the long term, or long-term speed and plyometric training. It's something that we're big on here at General Physical Preparation. That's a big part of like our value system or our principles is we train all relevant qualities year round. One of the reasons for that is it just takes time and exposure over time to develop a lot of these qualities, especially past the beginner to intermediate stage. And sure, your progress is going to be relatively slow when you're training all these qualities concurrently, but we definitely require that year-round exposure to get that development in. 6-week hypertrophy phases, stupid as shit. 6-week speed, power, all that stuff. Like, I just don't think anyone gets anything out of it past the beginner intermediate stage. Whereas marinating in that type of program and just chasing down those qualities relentlessly year round, that's how we actually get transfer out of our GPP. You actually build the physical qualities beyond that beginner stage. All right, and before I move on to bench press, yeah. All right, and before I move on to some bench press, what are the general physical qualities? Okay, so I'm on the fly here, so hopefully I don't miss any. Bigger, stronger, faster, do it for longer, do it through more of a range of motion. I think mobility and flexibility sort of taking a backward seat, especially in the evidence-based era. A lot of people like to shit on it. They're like, fuck, you don't need to be that mobile. But I think, you look at athletes, a lot of freak athletes doing crazy shit on the sporting field, and some of them do just have these freakish displays of flexibility and mobility, whether it's God-given or whether it's something they've developed in their own way. But yeah, I just think when it comes to those things, bigger, stronger, faster, do it for longer, do it through a bigger range of motion, man, like they're just so powerful. Like, fuck speed, strength, power, endurance, whatever other physical qualities they made up on the force velocity curve, they're the only ones you need to worry about. So a big part of why I started General Physical Preparation, or sort of oriented my whole business model around that, there's two main reasons. There's like a strength and conditioning reason, and then there's like a Gen Pop personal training reason for it. And so as far as like why I developed General Physical Preparation the way it is, I sort of identify as smack bang in the middle of these two big parts of the fitness world, where we've got the personal trainer, general population side of things, and then we've got the strength and conditioning coach side of things as well. And sort of throughout a lot of 2020 and 2021, I was really lucky to do a lot of consulting at a professional level at a lot of different sports: basketball, baseball, pretty much all the field sports, working with a lot of coaches in strength sports or athletes in different strength sports as well. And they all had the same stupid questions. Strength and conditioning has become way too fractalized and siloed. You got basketball S&C coaches, you got soccer S&C coaches, you got strength sports coaches, and like they all think that the information and the questions that they have are so specific to what they do. But at a general level, the average coach's understanding of like what a fucking human is, how they behave, how they respond to stress is so below baseline that we shouldn't be this fractalized and solo trying to be, oh, what should S&C for soccer players look like? What should S&C for this specific cunt look like? Because yeah, I've been around the traps and everyone's fucking up the same way. Well, see, I'm not saying that there's no place for any level of specialization, but just the amount of coaches that don't realize that they're too far down their silo, and they need to just take a step back and realize we're dealing with humans first and foremost, all right? Dealing with a human that plays soccer, or a human that's in a strength sport, or a human that's trying to throw a fucking baseball. So when you respect the humanness of it all, we're a lot more similar than different. Whatever sport you play, most people, allostatic, complex dynamic system, 2 arms, 2 legs. Maybe that was a little bit ableist of me, but you see what I'm getting at here. Like the amount of individualization you need based on the sport, it's not non-existent, but it's so exaggerated. I think my PB triple, like I've hit 90 for a set of 5 or 6, but I still don't think I've hit anything more than 90 for a triple. Maybe I hit 100 for a triple on one day, but I'm just going to try to hit a triple at 95 for my top set. I'll be stoked at that. I mean, even 92 would be a nice little progression there. And I'll talk about the Gen Pop side of things. Push, 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 push. Thank you very much. All right, so back to the personal training side of things and the impact that GPP wants to have there as a business. We're entering supposedly a much less fat-phobic age of fitness where people are saying things like, oh, so much more to being fit than how you look, and yada, yada, yada. And I agree with that, but I just think we have an industry that's still completely ill-equipped on average to deal with anyone who wants anything other than a shitty bodybuilding prep for their personal trainer experience. And it's a reflection of coaches, not the market. Like, we always put it down to the market. Like, all people want is fat loss, but I've been a personal trainer in commercial gyms I was actively doing it for like 6-7 years, been in commercial gyms started going to a commercial gym when I was fucking 16 when my brother became a personal trainer. I'm 32, turning 33 this year, so you figure out the math. But yeah, all personal trainers know is hypertrophy, bit of strength training, and then count your fucking macros. Whereas when you talk to real people, like, yeah, sure, there's people that just want to get shredded or people who only want to change their body composition. And like, I acknowledge we have an obesity epidemic, but also as personal trainers, we need to recognize that we're stewards of public health. And when you're out there chatting to the average Joe, a lot of them just want to be like playing footy with their mates on a weekend, but they're afraid to do it because they don't want to do an ACL or something and put themselves out of work, or they just want to run around with their kid for a little bit longer or something like that, just feeling a bit more athletic. Like, that's a sport in its own right, playing catch with your kid. Or even just, recreational running is such a big sport, and so many people who are into their recreational running, they get a personal trainer because they want to be in better shape than that. Personal trainer knows fuck all about plyometrics or anything that could, again, outside of bodybuilding, which, yeah, a bit of bodybuilding can help a runner, but there's so many different forms of training. I just think if the average personal trainer had the skill set of a strength and conditioning coach, we could just serve that role of stewards of public health a little bit better, because I look at strength and conditioning the same way that CrossFit can just be this amazing gateway drug into someone finding a physical pursuit that they really click with and they want to get into long term. I think strength and conditioning is like a really good model of that, where we're just exposing them to all these different physical qualities and all these different forms of health seeking behavior. And we've got such a good chance of, again, them connecting with something that they really like, or just creating a bit more of a meaning than, all right, let's fucking get you shredded. So I'll be honest, I think if you're a personal trainer and all you know is body composition, you're a bit of a shit cunt. But that's why I developed GPP level 1. So you can actually get the skill set of a proper strength and conditioning coach, coach your plyos, know your energy systems, know a little bit about Olympic weightlifting, have a better understanding of strength and hypertrophy, because maybe you need a bit more minimum effective dose approach to that, this is what we focus on at GPP level 1. So we can integrate, again, we're not against strength training or hypertrophy training. We love that stuff. We just got to control the dose of it a little bit, because we also like encouraging everyone to train all these other physical qualities on top of that. All right, anyway, that's probably enough yapping for one video. If you want to learn the GPP model, check out GPP Level 1. That's our course, link down below. We got free programs, we got group programs down there. Plenty of exciting links down there below the video. So go explore some of those, or maybe check out one of my other videos if you haven't watched the whole library, and I'll see you in a few days with another one.